Hello fellow compounders. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, earns over $3.5 billion in dividends from its top 5 holdings, but it doesn't pay out any dividends to its shareholders. Why is that? In this video, we'll find out why. A quick reminder, this video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. You are responsible for your own financial decisions. A business can do 5 things with its profits. Number 1, it can pay down debt. 2, it can reinvest in the business. 3, it can acquire other businesses. 4, it can distribute dividends. And 5, it can buy back shares. Dividends are the distribution of profits to shareholders. Usually, it's done in the form of cash. Most investors prefer companies that pay dividends because 1, dividends are a sign or indicator of a well-run business. 2, they keep management focused on producing consistent profits and cash flow. 3, they lower the risk of investors since it is difficult to fake dividends. 4, they help lower the volatility of the stock. And 5, they provide cash to investors. Now, let's deconstruct our analysis into 2 parts. First, why does Warren Buffett like dividends? And second, why doesn't he like to pay them? To answer part 1, in addition to the points mentioned before, I think that Buffett likes to receive dividends for 2 main reasons. Number 1, he believes that he's a better investor or capital allocator than the operator of the businesses he invested in. Therefore, he prefers to receive any excess cash that's not needed to operate the business so he can invest it and make more money. We really can't argue with that. While he has been at the helm, Berkshire stock increased in value from $11.50 in 1964 to $462,000 in 2022. 2, it is tax efficient. For Berkshire Hathaway, receiving dividends is more tax efficient than taking profits as capital gains. Corporations are taxed differently than individuals. As individuals, we are accustomed to think that capital gain tax is more favorable than taxes on dividend. However, Berkshire is a corporation. Dividends pay lower taxes than capital gains. For example, Berkshire's effective tax rate on dividends from Coca-Cola would be 10.5%. If Coke didn't distribute dividends and just retained the profits, Buffett would have to sell some Coke shares to produce cash, and that will be taxed as a capital gain at the current rate of 21%. And that's just Coke. For businesses where Berkshire owns between 20% and 80% of the business, for example, Occidental Petroleum, the effective tax rate is actually lower at 7.35%. And for businesses where Berkshire owns 80% or more, like See's Candy, there is no tax on dividends. So it's a big difference paying 10.5% versus 21% in capital gains. Part 2. Buffett doesn't like Berkshire Hathaway to pay out dividends because 1, he believes that he can create more value with the retained earnings. The criteria he uses to pay out dividend is whether or not a dollar left in the business is worth more than a dollar being paid out. He believes that he can invest the money retained in Berkshire Hathaway better than the shareholders. Number 2, since Buffett is a major shareholder of Berkshire Hathaway, he doesn't want to pay taxes on dividends. Dividends are a taxable event as an individual. If Berkshire was to pay dividend, Buffett, as a shareholder, would have to pay taxes on it, and then he will take that money and reinvest it. So since Berkshire doesn't pay dividends, the profits stay in the business and gets reinvested without having to pay taxes. It doesn't pass toll booth. I totally agree with this. Most of Berkshire Hathaway shareholders also agree. 3, it takes away the investor's freedom on when to take distribution and pay taxes. If I needed cash, I could always sell some shares and generate a pseudo dividend and pay taxes on the capital gain. It would be totally up to me, the shareholder. If I get paid a dividend, I lose that freedom. And number 4, there are better options to distribute profits to shareholders. If Berkshire had excess cash that Buffett can't invest, he would return it using a stock buyback instead of distributing dividends because it is more tax efficient. I go into more detail on why buybacks are better than dividends in this video. In conclusion, the main reason why Buffett likes receiving dividends and not paying them are really the same. He can invest them better than anyone, and it is tax efficient. That's it. It's that simple.